Welcome to the Get Real podcast. My name is Austin. I'll be your host. And today we have a special guest. We're going to do something a little different. We're bringing someone onto the show. His name is Emac, a.k.a. Emac90 off the NBA Hardwood Amino app. Check out his stuff. Look at his content. He's pretty knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. He's a Celtics and Kings fan, but we won't hold that against him. Emac, I'm just going to jump right into it, man. Obviously, everyone's aware of the big trade that just went down between Jimmy Butler getting sent to Philly. Part of it is I think that Philly realized that, hey, we're being left behind. There is Toronto who's killing it. Philly is having trouble keeping up with those teams. You also have Giannis and the Bucks. And then you got to think that the Celtics, with that loaded roster, is eventually going to kind of get it all together and figure it out. So I feel like Philly was pressured saying, man, we got to do something. I feel like they finally made their move. What are your thoughts?
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I agree on a lot of those points. I think that they took a look at free agency this summer, and it didn't really seem like they had a strong shot at who was available. Like Kemba Walker, DeMarcus Cousins wouldn't fit. KD definitely wasn't going to AD. Like I think they felt a lot of the free agency this summer they wouldn't have a super strong shot. And like you said, they saw, like, Milwaukee doesn't even have really a big three yet, and they're on the rise. So you got the Raptors with Kawhi. He might end up just re-signing, depending on how good they do. And then you got Celtics there with their, like, monster team with a whole bunch of potential. They had to make a move for something to stay competitive in the Eastern Conference. The thing is, this is their last move. Like, if Jimmy signs this extension, like Woj is saying he is going to in the offseason, they're not going to be making any more really major moves after this. Their team is going to be surrounded around Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Jimmy Butler. It doesn't look like Fultz is that guy at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure they tried to trade him, but nobody wanted to accept him. So, I mean, I'm concerned. I don't think it's a super good move for the Sixers, but I think they saw how they've been playing. They gave a 25 point lead to the Charlotte Hornets just off Kemba Walker. It depends, man. I mean, Jimmy Butler has had a history with these young players not working out. It's three basically alpha males, and Ben Simmons and Embiid have been able to coexist together. Maybe Jimmy Butler will fit that. Maybe he'll coincide good with them, and he'll respect them as players and stuff, how he did Towns and Wiggins. And he does fit the city of Philadelphia, a hard-working guy who he got everything he's gotten so far just from effort and diligence of trying to be great. So the city will love that. It does fit what they were looking for with a scorer, but I feel like this is going to force them to have one of the three on the courts at all time. They can't have any bench help.
Yeah, in terms of the rotations for that team, they definitely have some things to figure out. Simmons, as I said 1,000 times before, his lack of shooting awareness and just lack of shooting in general is really going to hinder that team going forward. I mean, he has to have some iota of just consciousness knowing that, hey, I got to be able to shoot the ball from some distance consistently. They have many options. They can keep Fultz in the starting lineup and then also roll out Redick, Jimmy Butler at the 3, maybe Ben Simmons at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. But if they don't keep him in the lineup, or maybe they keep him at the bench, you still got T.J. McConnell, Wilson Chandler. So you still got some guys, some vets that have been there that you can use. And who knows how Justin Patton's going to turn out. He was kind of a throw-in the Jimmy Butler trade. He was a 16th pick in 2017. So, maybe they'll make something out of him. He was kind of a high-potential guy coming out of college, just hasn't really made his mark yet in the NBA. I do think one thing, though. I do really think that the Jimmy Butler thing, the problems that he had in Minnesota and some extent to the Bulls, is going to be a little bit different. Embiid has that kind of almost that bully mindset. I mean, for example, when he was going to Detroit, he keeps messing with this guy, Andre Drummond, their star center, keeps telling reporters, keeps tweeting out, hey, I own real estate in this guy's head, just talking mad junk about this guy. And then during the game, he came and backed it up. He made Drummond play it completely outside of his game, and eventually he got benched. And that's how he is with everybody in the league, despite him only being in the league for 3 or 4 years now. So having that guy with that sort of mental intensity, I have to think it's sort of familiar with how Jimmy Butler was with Dwayne Wade in a Bulls uniform. It worked. That kind of mental toughness, he really works well off of that. So when you see Embiid just kind of posting up, just getting everybody's faces, that sounds like the perfect compliment to me anyway. That, wow, I think locker room wise and him working with Ben Simmons and Embiid, I think it'll be more of an easier fit than they think. Obviously, they bring a scorer to the table that can give you 20 to 25. He can shoot from three pretty well and also will bump up their defense. So they got a ticker with the rotations a little bit, but there's something there that can really work for them.
Well, I will say this. First, I don't think Fultz needs to start at all anymore. I think that's part of their problem right now. I think J.J. Redick should be back in the starting lineup. I think the lineup should be something with Simmons, Butler at the 2, whoever you put at the 3, And I don't think Fultz should start for me. I can't think of the full starting lineup, but I don't think Fultz should be in it. If you do, put Redick on the bench, I think Fultz and Redick maybe should be, and maybe one of the other players should stay in the court, and that should run the second unit. I do agree with the mental tough thing. I mean, because if Butler is on that team with the Sixers, and Embiid is talking all this junk to Drummond on Twitter, and in the game he's proving it, like he's backing up his words. I mean, Jimmy Butler would feed off that. He would love that. He would have been rooting him on times 10. I think there is a world where it's Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Embiid, and that's just their MO. It's just a tough team. It's a team you're not going to deal with. You're going to deal with 3 alphas who are physically dominating and will go at you every single time. So there's a world for that. On the flip side, I think everyone today needs to back off what they've been saying about Tom Thibodeau, how he's dumb for not making a move earlier, or he should have took the Houston Rockets trade. Look what he has now. This works out. Wolves walk away with some of the things they had the most issues with. That's Dario Dario whatever, who is a good power forward and also can play as a stretch 4, which will help out Towns, give him a little bit more spacing. I think Covington is basically a super poor man's 3-and-D guy. He can play good defense. He can spread the floor a little bit when they need. I think this works out better for them. I am surprised they didn't ask for Fultz. I don't think they did, or they didn't get a first-round pick. But either way, I think it's close to even trade with both of these teams as it can be. But this is the Sixers for the long haul. Woj just saying Jimmy Butler's planning to sign in the offseason, so this is the Sixers' future right here. It's Embiid, Butler, and Simmons. So if this doesn't work, I mean, they have till the whole season to figure out if it's going to work, but this is going to be their best competitive team in the East. And another thing, I think this another reason it's good for the Wolves. They were able to get some pieces around Towns and Wiggins, specifically Towns, without actually having to go in free agency and convince people to come to Minnesota, which is a rarity that would ever happen. They used what they had, a piece they had. They were more patient than people were screaming them to be. Got some players back, got an extra pick. I think that's good to show, Towns that, hey, we are building around you. We got some players that complement you more than get in the way of your game at all. Now you can really be down low. We got some help on defense. I think this was good. And then if Wiggins does not progress at all, I bet you got a Robert Covington, who right now is just as good as Wiggins. If not a little bit better, because he brings something on the defensive end. So that's good that they were able to get some pieces, because in free agency the Wolves had basically no chance, and maybe Tom Thibodeau extended his stay with Minnesota a little bit.
Well, I guess, I was one of those guys that was kind of hoping Houston would push through this, not because I'm a fan, but because Houston needs Butler. I really think they should have gone out trying to get him. And I was trying to tell a friend this before, hey, if they don't go for him right now and give Minnesota close to what they want, another team can swoop up for him. I really thought Miami at the time was the big player to get him, but now Philly came out of nowhere and snatched him. That just goes to show they should have gone more all in. Just give Gordon, PJ Tucker, and maybe a few picks and see if that would have worked. I guess the main reason I was surprised that they didn't accept the deal with the picks is that, yeah, those first 2 picks don't look all that appealing with them being the next 2 to 4 years, and they'll still be competitive. They might be late first-round picks. But also, look at those last 2 picks in years 5 and 7, 5 to 7 years from now. CP3 will likely be out of the league, and then Harden will be pushing his later years in his career, probably in his mid-30s. I mean, probably like closer to his late 30s. So I kind of was thinking, well, maybe they should have gone for that then. They could have gotten almost a Brooklyn, Boston Celtics-esque type of trade to where it could really pay dividends going forward. But they got some good pieces. I mean, Saric and Covington are good complementary players. They will help spread the floor out for this team. But I don't know if they're quite going to be competitive in the West for even an 8th seed in the playoffs. I mean, what really has to happen from this point is that Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns need to step up. This man called you out, said you were weak, said you can't shoot, and said you can't defend. Cat can shoot, he just can't defend worth a lick, and he just gets fatigued. He kind of quits during the game when a shot's not falling for him, and that's kind of a weakness to most other alpha dogs on other teams. So, but now he's gone. The bad man's gone. Jimmy Butler's out of there. It is up to those 2 guys to be like, all right, this is our team now. We're going to prove him and the rest of the world wrong and really show our stuff. They have to. Otherwise, you're going to be sniffing the lottery for many years going forward. Management got rid of him. They got the best deal likely out there. But the only true progression for this team is for their core pieces to get together and really learn how to show their stuff.
I agree 1,005%, man. Like, the front office basically just said, all right, we gave y'all the contract. We got this guy out of here. We got some great pieces that we definitely couldn't have gotten in free agency. And the team is yours now. Now show us up. About the playoffs part, you're probably right. This doesn't push them to say, oh, this team is getting the 8th seed in that competitive West. But I don't think there was no trade out there that was going to do that. It's hard to tell the Minnesota fans that, hey, we got 4 first-round picks spread out between 8 years. The first 2 are probably not going to be good. We're not going to be good enough to get to the playoffs, but we're going to start another 6-year rebuild after we just finally got to the playoffs last year. And even the last 2 picks, man, as bad as much they can fall, even if Chris Paul retires, even if Chris Paul retires and Jimmy Butler is 34, I still don't see James Harden being on the team and it being a lottery team. I don't see it being them at the bottom of the West. They might not make the playoffs. It might be an 8th seed. They're not going to be a lottery team for a foreseeable future. I don't believe. Not with Daryl Morey making these type of moves. Now with Eric Gordon still exposable so they could trade and get somebody else. I don't see them being a lottery team at all. I do think this was the best move they had, though. I do think these players, this team that the Wolves got now looks pretty good. And at worst, if Wiggins doesn't get a lick better, he's just as good as Robert Covington. You got 2 Wiggins, the one overpaid. And, this actually gives them a little leeway to, if they have to make some more trades, they can too. Maybe not this year, but they got 2 solid 3-and-D players, or 1 3-and-D player and a solid stretch 4. That if you have to get rid of Wiggins' contract, you have something else that may make that possible. Probably won't, but, this might be dead even of a trade, man.
One thing that I don't think most people are considering is that if this rest of the season is a sham and it doesn't work with Butler, I know it's been said that, hey, Butler's going to re-sign with this team long-term in the offseason, but if it doesn't work, they can just cut their losses, and then I think Wilson Chandler's contract will be up, so will McConnell's. They have a few other guys. They can probably make some moves, too, to really guarantee another max free agent spot. So, yeah, you lost Saric in the process, but hey, he wasn't doing so hot to begin the season. You got rid of Covington's contract. So if this test drive for this vehicle that is Butler doesn't work out, you can always, just let it go. Just don't re-sign him. And then maybe you can find someone else that better bets your format, bets your system. And then that maybe they can, even worst case scenario, they can kind of twist it and make it a better situation for them.
Oh, no, I agree. As Philly front office, this is a move that you make because, like you said, you lose Covington and Sargent, but you got to take that risk. And if this car does not work, like you said, this is a bad test drive with Jimmy Butler, and there's some drama in the locker room, or it just doesn't work out, hey, you can get rid of him. You don't have to re-sign him. You still have room for a max player because that coveted contract is going, and you have room. You probably have room to make another move if you need to.
But, I mean, right now, just to conclude a little bit, the Philly trade looks good. I think it works well from both sides. It gets Butler out of that situation in Minnesota, and not only gives Philly a piece right now to compete, but if things go south, they have some options down the road to where they can say, you know what, it didn't work. We'll go this way. We'll pursue this guy from here on out. Man, I got to say you were great. I'm glad you came with me on this show. For those who don't know, this is Emac90 from the NBA Hardwood Amino app. Check out his stuff. He knows his stuff very well, and he's pretty good at this. So, thanks, man. Thanks for showing up.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you having me. It was great talking basketball with you as always. Hopefully I can get back going here again. Maybe there's another crazy move this season that we get to talk about. But yeah, man, appreciate it. I gotta get back to my daughter. She's over here freaking out. So, all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I know this is kind of a long one for you, but I hope you liked it. Something a little bit different. Bring someone that actually knows what they're talking about on the show to talk a little bit. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any points or anything to bring up from what we talked about? What do you guys think about this trade? Let me hear your thoughts. As always, thank you guys for listening. This is the Get Real Podcast.